Retired professor of engineering Dr. Walter Bradley, who, as you can see from this article, has acquired a very impressive resume during his career as a professor of engineering, has a very interesting video on YouTube entitled Creation of the Cosmos. In that video, Dr. Walter Bradley goes over the fine-tuning of the fundamental universal constants, light, and biological life for each other. Here's a short clip from that video.
As another example, we need to balance or match the energy, as I mentioned before, in light to the bonding energy in chemicals. The electronic energy levels and the chemical bonding energy levels that come from those are determined from quantum mechanics, and they depend on the mass of the electron, the unit charge, and Planck's constant, with an equation that looks something like this. Okay, bonding energy between these different atoms. The wavelength of light, if it's going to be tailored to the chemical bonding energies, would require a spectrum which has its highest intensity in what we call the visible spectrum. This visible spectrum, which in fact we have, requires satisfaction of the following algebraic equation. Now, don't let the equation intimidate you here. It's nothing more than algebra. This is an inequality sign. This is approximately equal to sign. The term on the left must be greater than, but of the same order of magnitude as the term on the right. And the constants in this equation are, in fact, Planck's constant, speed of light, gravity force constant, mass of the electron, mass of the proton, and the unit charge. Several of these were required in the previous requirement for specifying chemical bonding energy. If I take all of these values from the chart I showed you previously and substitute them into this equation, lo and behold, I get a result that looks like this. The left term is, in fact, bigger than the right term, but they are both of the same order of magnitude. And what this says is that the selection of these constants, in fact, is in exactly the right proportion to each other, as required by this equation, to allow the energy from the sun to be exactly right, to be interactive with chemical bonding in the periodic chart that we have. There are a couple of other interesting things that come out of this that are not specified in that preceding equation. If I'm going to have visible light as the primary source of energy to drive the necessary chemical reactions in living systems, then it's important that this radiation not be highly absorbed by the atmosphere or by water, because most of the important biochemistry occurs in a water or aqueous solution. If you look at the absorption as a function of wavelength of light, what we find is that almost all wavelengths of light are highly absorbed by water and by the atmosphere. Only in this very narrow range of visible to infrared is there very, very little absorption of that very same wavelength of radiation that's necessary to drive our chemical reactions. And the same thing, surprisingly enough, with our atmosphere. So it turns out not only is the energy of light, the primary wavelength of light from the sun, exactly what's needed for chemical reactions, it also happens to be very low in its absorption with water or with the atmosphere. If the light we needed or the radiation we needed was someplace either here or here, it would actually help chemical reactions, but it would never get to the chemicals because it would be highly absorbed.
And here is an article from Dr. Bradley entitled, "Is There Scientific Evidence for the Existence of God? How the Recent Discoveries Support a Designed Universe," in which Dr. Bradley also goes over the fine-tuning of the fundamental universal constants, light, and biological life for each other. In the paper, Dr. Bradley also lists 4 graphs. At the bottom of the 4 graphs, he states, "The visible portion of the electromagnetic spectrum is the most intense radiation from the sun, figure 3.1, has the greatest biological utility, figure 3.2, and passes through the atmosphere of the Earth, figure 3.3, and water, figure 3.4, with almost no absorption. It is uniquely this same wavelength of radiation that is ideal to foster the chemistry of life. This is either a truly amazing series of coincidences or else the result of careful design. And in the following article, Michael Denton quotes the Encyclopedia Britannica, which states the following: "Considering the importance of visible sunlight for all aspects of terrestrial life, one cannot help being awed by the dramatically narrow window in the atmospheric absorption and in the absorption spectrum of water." It is also interesting to note that Darwinists, with what is termed the compensation argument, will often claim that the second law of thermodynamics and/or entropy is not all that big of a problem for Darwinian evolution as long as you have energy entering the quote-unquote open system. In this case, the open system that they are referring to is the Earth. And although, as the following video clearly demonstrates, entropy is a far bigger problem for Darwinists than they are ever willing to let on, one of the things that Darwinists do not tell you in their compensation argument is that the energy allowed to enter the Earth's atmosphere, and that is of biological utility, is constrained or finely tuned to 1/1,000,000,000 of a trillionth of the entire electromagnetic spectrum of the universe. As the following video states at the 4-minute mark, these specific frequencies of light that enable plants to manufacture food and astronomers to observe the cosmos represent less than 1/1,000,000,000 of a trillionth of the universe's entire range of electromagnetic emissions. And in the following article, entitled "The Just Right Relationship of the Light Spectrum and Photosynthesis," the author points out that for photosynthesis to occur, light must be of the right color. Light of the wrong color won't do the trick. And the article further goes on to state, there was only one chance in 10 to the 25 of the sun's providing just the right kind of light necessary for us. Moreover, although the recent discovery of the fine-tuning of the universal constants, light, and biological life for each other is certainly a very powerful evidence for the intelligent design of the universe, light itself, as special relativity, the double-slit experiment, and quantum electrodynamics had already demonstrated decades earlier, had already given the Christian theist abundant evidence that God is continually sustaining light itself in its continual existence in this universe. These following two videos make this point clear. Moreover, besides God being behind the fine-tuning of light, and even being behind the existence of light, God is also required to explain photosynthesis. First off, as the following study of the Earth's oldest iron formations concluded, photosynthesis has most likely been present on Earth for at least 3.8 billion years and is responsible for Earth's oldest iron formations. Moreover, as these following references show, photosynthesis is an extremely elaborate and complicated process that Darwinists have no real clue as to how it possibly could have evolved gradually as they hold it did. As one evolutionist himself commented, cyanobacteria kind of just appeared out of the tree of life with this very advanced capability to do oxygenic photosynthesis without any apparent forebears. The following references is good for showing how photosynthesis could not possibly have evolved gradually as Darwinists hold it did, since photosynthesis is an interdependent system of 26 protein complexes and enzymes in which all the steps are required, otherwise glucose is not produced. Moreover, the efficiency of photosynthesis trounces any machine man has ever built in terms of efficiency. The following study found that certain biological systems living in low-light environments have unique protein structures for photosynthesis that use quantum dynamics to convert 100% of absorbed light into electrical charge. Whereas, on the other hand, the very best solar panels ever tested in the lab, not the ones actually available for sale and installation on your home, are only able to convert about 34% of the light that hits them into electricity. In the following article entitled Uncovering Quantum Secret in Photosynthesis, we find that such stunning efficiency for photosynthesis is accomplished via a quantum process. Specifically, the researchers stated, these results show that coherence, a genuine quantum effect of superposition of states, is responsible for maintaining high levels of transport efficiency in biological systems, even while they adapt their energy transport pathways due to environmental influences. It is also important to realize that this quantum coherence found in molecular biology is, like quantum entanglement, a non-local effect. As the following article states, quantum coherence and quantum entanglement are operationally equivalent. In fact, whereas the EPR entanglement connections are fragile, some forms of non-local coherence are robust. Moreover, the greater the number of particles in a quantum hypergraph state, such as what we have with quantum coherence in biological systems, the more strongly it violates local realism, with the strength increasing exponentially with the number of particles. And it is also important to clarify exactly what is meant by quantum non-locality. When a quantum system is said to be in a non-local state, that means that quantum correlations are somehow arising from outside space-time, in the sense that no story in space and time can describe them, and that it is therefore necessary to appeal to a beyond space and time cause in order to explain the quote-unquote non-local effect we are witnessing in quantum correlations. And although many people over the last 90 years or so have tried to salvage a deterministic view of reality and have tried to explain away quantum non-locality by appealing to hidden variables, pilot waves, and such theories as that, where it is postulated that the particles themselves are somehow causing each other to instantaneously behave in the way that they do in quantum correlations. Contrary to that materialistic hope of salvaging a deterministic universe, the following recent study found that entangled objects do not cause each other to behave the way they do. And as the following article further states, multiple mathematical theorems have all but proven that hidden variables cannot explain away all the bizarre behaviors seen in quantum mechanics. Thus, true non-locality, where quantum correlations somehow arise from outside space-time in the sense that no story in space and time can describe them, remains very much a robust explanation in quantum mechanics. Besides photosynthesis, human vision is also found to be a quantum process. As the following article states, the human eye's ability to detect single photons is a quantum mechanism and is governed by the laws of quantum physics. In the following article, commenting on the ability of the human eye to detect a single photon, William Bialek, who is a professor of physics at Princeton University, remarked that photoreceptor cells that carpet the retinal tissue of the eye and respond to light are not just good or great or fabulous at their job. They are not merely exceptionally impressive by the standards of biology. Photoreceptors operate at the outermost boundary allowed by the laws of physics, which means they are as good as can be. And in further regards to the eye's ability to detect a single photon, the following researcher remarked that any man-made detector would need to be cooled and isolated from noise to behave the same way. Moreover, besides photosynthesis and human vision, non-local quantum correlation are now also found to be pervasive throughout molecular biology. In fact, quantum correlations are now found to be in both DNA, protein molecules, as well as in a wide range of other important biomolecules. Moreover, these recent findings from quantum biology, as the following video clearly shows, falsifies the reductive materialistic foundation upon which Darwinian evolution itself is built. The finding of pervasive beyond space and time quantum correlations within molecular biology has some fairly obvious and profound implications for us. As Stuart Hameroff remarks in the following video, it's possible that this quantum information can exist outside the body, perhaps indefinitely as a soul. Of course, the committed atheist will never admit to such obvious and profound implications from quantum biology. But myself, as a Christian theist, I am very pleased with the obvious and profound implication that quantum biology has brought forth to us. As Job 12, verses 9 and 10 stated thousands of years before the science of quantum biology even came along. Who among all these does not know that the hand of the Lord has done this, in whose hand is the soul of every living thing and the breath of all mankind? Moreover, besides quantum correlations now being found in molecular biology on a massive scale, it is now also found that light itself also plays an extremely important role in molecular biology in regards to information transfer between molecules. This biological light is called endogenous coherent light and is conventionally described as biophoton emission. Moreover, biophotons consist of light with a high degree of order, in other words, biological laser light. In fact, contrary to what was taught in textbooks for decades, DNA, RNA, and protein molecules are now shown to, when excited with the right wavelength of light, light up better than they would with the best, most powerful fluorescent labels that are used in molecular biology. And here you can see an actual picture of a human, quote-unquote, naturally emitting biophotons. And as the following study showed, the biophotonic light that is being emitted by humans is indeed quantum in its characteristics. Of related interest to quantum biophotons being emitted by the human body, it is also interesting to point out that the following study on how the image might have been formed on the Shroud of Turin found that it is, in fact, necessary to hypothesize a absorption by discrete values of the energy where the quantum is equal to the one necessary to yellow one fibril. In other words, the image on the Shroud of Turin was formed by quantum light, not by classical light. Just how much energy it might have taken to form the image on the Shroud of Turin is revealed in the following study, where they found that 34,000 billion watts of energy would be required to instantly cover the surface of linen. And as was touched upon in the following video, Christ's resurrection from the dead, as is evidenced by the Shroud of Turin, provides an empirically backed reconciliation between quantum mechanics and general relativity into the much sought after theory of everything. Well, that is the end of the video, and I remind viewers that all papers and videos referenced in this video may be accessed in the link provided in the video description. Thanks very much for watching.